Do my chickens need a heat lamp? What do you guys think? Yeah, no, your chickens don't need a heat lamp, and here's why. I'm going to tell you. Contrary to popular opinion, probably. Right? It's not popular opinion anymore. I'm not quite sure. It's really cold out here, though, now. I'm not going to be the idiot who sits out here just to get a cold factor. Okay, I'm going inside, and I'll make this video inside. Hold on. I see you've gotten most of your feathers back. Are you done molting? Looks like you've still got to get your beard back, though. Your beard hasn't grown back yet. Okay. Still keeping my hat on, though. It was cold this morning. And I'm dirty because, you know, that's what we do around here on a farm. So the question is, do your chickens need a heat lamp? The short answer is no. The long answer is depends on the situation. Increasingly, as people get into homesteading, the first thing that they naturally get into is chicken keeping. Even people who aren't into homesteading, they are getting chickens. In a lot of suburban areas, even a lot of urban areas, you see people getting chicken. So every year in these Facebook groups and on chicken forums, you hear my dog drinking water as soon as I decide to make a video. Everyone is always asking, do I need a heat lamp for my chickens? It's so cold with the cold front coming. Do I need a heat lamp to heat my coop and all this stuff? No, you do not need a heat lamp to keep your chickens warm in the wintertime. The reality is that chickens are built to sustain different types of weather. Now, there are some different things you need to consider. First of all, you should have considered the breed of chicken that you got when you first got it. There are certainly some Mediterranean breeds of chickens that have really large floppy combs or thinner down feathers that shouldn't even be in an area that gets below freezing. You know, in that case, you might consider heating them in some way. But if you're talking about everyday farm chickens, Delawares, Rhode Island Reds, Barred Rocks, Icelandics, whatever else I have out there on any particular day, if we're talking about regular chickens, not these rare, fancy, floppy comb breeds, then they don't need a heat lamp. As long as you're giving them straw, and especially if you're using the deep litter method, which is basically just using straw and turning the straw over every single day, it starts biodegrading. But basically it starts breaking down and creating its own warmth. Not a lot, but you can tell it keeps the chill off of your chicken coop. You don't need a heat lamp. Okay, so number one, obviously we know that heat lamps can cause fires. That is the main concern with heat lamps. Your heat lamp can fall if it's not, you know, structurally sound on something. But not only that, your chickens can fly up and break the bulb, throwing down the hot glass and stuff on top of your straw and bedding, which can also cause a fire. After that, there's other ways it can cause a fire. The cold could break the bulb because the bulb is so hot and then it gets so cold. You know, there are different things that can happen that can cause a fire. Look it up. I guarantee there's 15 different fires this year alone already, and people have lost their entire flocks because they use heat lamps. Now, there are some pretty fancy schmancy heat lamps out there nowadays that apparently are pretty unbreakable, which is awesome. But the other thing you need to consider is what happens when the electricity goes out. So if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're not awake and your electricity goes out, that means your heat lamp goes out, which means your chickens suddenly and very suddenly don't have their heat source that they had before. Whether it's a heat lamp or whether it's one of these little space heater things that they make for chicken coops nowadays, suddenly, very suddenly, they're going from kind of warm, because let's face it, if you're in negative 10-degree weather, they're not going to be that warm, you know, with any kind of heat source. But they go from kind of warm to really, really, really cold. And that can be even more detrimental than allowing their bodies to naturally heat up and cool down without a heat source. So I would even say that is more of an issue than always just with the whole fire thing. Your next reasoning for not heating your coop is because it can actually cause more frostbite on your chicken's combs and wattles, these little things, than not having a heat source at all. What happens is it causes more humidity in the air when you use a heat source, and therefore causing more frostbite on your rooster combs and your large comb chickens, and on their little wattles down here. So, you know, you could really be getting into some big issues here when you use heat in your coop. I have a friend who lived in Alaska for over 15 years, never once used a heat lamp or a heat source, and her chickens did just fine. Okay, I'm in Virginia. I don't get nearly as cold as they do up there. I've got other friends who live out in the Midwest, and they get even colder than Virginia, and they don't use heat lamps, and their chickens are fine. But again, you know, you might have specific breeds that need some kind of heat source, and that's something you should have considered when you got them. Your other option is we do use a heat lamp in our mini coop, and here's why. We have an outdoor brooder. You've seen it. I'll link it up here. And we heat that by using a heat lamp. But the way that we have set it up, it's like a double decker. So on the bottom half, you have your chicks and your bedding and all that stuff. And then there's a really large space on top that has chicken wire in between, and then another 6 to 8 inches up is the heat lamp. And so there's no way that they can get to the heat lamp. If the heat lamp falls, it falls on wire. It doesn't fall on, you know, straw bedding. And the little mini coop is insulated. So that means I don't have to have that heat lamp down right on top of my chicks to keep them warm. It can be really, really, really high up off of them. And we did that purposefully so that our chickens would be used to cold winters. Even as chicks, it's a common misconception that chicks have to be, you know, right on top of them heat all the time. They're not right on top of them heat all the time when they're with mama hen, I can assure you that. But of course, you know, you do need to make sure your chicks are warm when they need to be warm. So that's a scenario where you might have to use a heat lamp. But overall, in general, heating your coop, am I an advocate for that? No. I don't advocate heating your coop at all in the wintertime. I go through this every year, guys. This isn't anything like I'm not making a video because someone else made a video or anything like that. I do this every year since we've had chickens. It's just your yearly reminder that you don't need to heat your chicken coop in the wintertime in order to keep your chickens warm. If you've had chickens for an extended period of time, Mark and I were just talking about this yesterday. I lose track of how many years we've had these animals. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it has been. If you've had chickens for an extended amount of time and you go outside after they're up at night and they're huddled together and you stick your hand up underneath one of their wings, it is really, really warm. Probably warmer than you are. So it just goes to prove that they don't need that heat source. So don't disable your chickens from naturally heating themselves in the wintertime. And you do that when you're using an external heat source. So there's my PSA for the year. I've actually never done one on YouTube. I've always done them on Facebook and Instagram. So this is my first don't use a heat lamp in the wintertime PSA on YouTube. But to each their own. You know, if you use one, great, but please use caution. I'm just saying it's simply not necessary. That's how I'm saying. You know, you're going to find chicken experts that have written books and stuff that even say this isn't necessary. So I'm just kind of regurgitating what I've learned over the years. So that's it. I hope that you guys are keeping warm. Today is the first day of winter when I'm the day that I'm recording this. So that's why I really wanted to do my little spiel here. That way we get that out there. Anyhow, it's close to Christmas, so I'm gonna get going and cleaning my house and all that stuff. So hope you guys have a great day. If you have any questions, please ask them. If you have not subscribed yet, we would love for you to, but it's not necessary if you don't want to. And otherwise, we hope you have a great day and happy homesteading.